Hello everyone. So in this video, I want to show you something really simple, interesting and cool at the same time. Now, I use org mode and I think you all know that if you are following my channel. And the good thing about org mode is that apart from all the aspects of note taking, using org mode for tracking your work, and at the same time doing things like literate programming, and also making sure you're on top of things. And also, by the way, I publish my blog. So basically, I convert my notes to wonderful HTML files, and you can do that actually very easily with org mode. Now, today I want to show you something that I believe can help a lot of you. It is, of course, nothing different from whatever I have shown you earlier, but I just wanted to show you the capabilities of the org mode when it comes to exporting the file, exporting the org file to a simple but very nice, good looking HTML file. And this can be useful for multiple reasons. Now, first, let me show you how it works. So let us say I'm working on a big file. And by the way, just to share with you, since last year, last year around August, July, I think, I started learning Node.js, and I never really learned or did anything with Node.js, but I wanted to learn it because I wanted to um, develop some apps for Atlassian. So I developed one app for Jira and Confluence, and I also wanted to learn it because I never really got a chance or an opportunity to do something with Node.js. And apart from, of course, developing apps for Atlassian products, I also built few projects just to have fun with Node.js. And Node.js, I think, is quite good. Again, I don't have any massive experience doing anything with JavaScript, although I can write JavaScript, but my JavaScript experience was always limited to doing things on the web page, things that will manipulate the web elements, but I never really did any backend work with JavaScript. Of course, using these frameworks, these things like Node.js, for example. Now, the way I learn a new technology or anything, I basically try to make a lot of notes. And the reason I make a lot of notes is because whenever I'm, let us say, so I, so when I learn something, I of course refer maybe a course or a book, or maybe I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos. So I have this big, massive document which has everything that will let me revise, or basically let me go through whatever I have learned since last year. And this particular file is basically like my own rough notes, but at the same time, I do have working examples in the file itself. So that is again a good thing about Node.js. You can always you can basically have the actual code, and if you want to also capture the output, you can do that within your org file. And the way it works with Node.js is not at all straightforward, but it works. If you want to run, let us say, a simple JavaScript file, a JavaScript code, and you want to do something, it can actually display the output. And everything is, of course, within a document. It is not really going to, let us say, code, Visual Studio Code, or any other IDE, for example. If you want to learn Node.js, most of the examples are related to doing things using Visual Studio Code, which I believe works really well. And whenever I'm following a tutorial, I use Visual Studio Code, by the way. I don't really use Emacs for that. And although I'm sure I can. I have tried it and it works. But of course, when you're following a tutorial, it is easier to do things when you have the same interface and you want to spend time actually understanding what the person or the teacher is trying to teach you, instead of trying to make the editor work for you. Now, when I refer to these notes, I can refer to it maybe after 6 months or maybe 2 years. It depends. I'm just giving you this example of Node.js, but I do have other notes from other things that I don't really do. Like whenever I'm learning a technology which I don't really have to use every time as part of my daily job, I of course want to stay in touch with it. And of course, in that case, I refer to my notes because these notes are written by me in my own language, the way I can understand quickly. So if let us say I want to publish this. So by the way, this is of course within my local setup of my notes. And if you notice, the file name has this draft.org. And in my Emacs configuration, where I publish in my Emacs org mode Emacs publishing configuration, I am excluding the files, the org files where I have the draft keyword, and this won't get published. But sometimes I also want to, let us say, share these notes with my friend. I want to maybe send without publishing it on my website, which I can do, but I can also generate a local HTML file. So in this video, I actually wanted to show you the HTML file because it is really good. Now, a simple command. So there are of course a lot of ways of publishing, but you can publish a file, you can publish it to a buffer, or you can also generate other formats. But if you're of course new to org mode, you can actually do Control C, Control E, and it will give you the options to export. Now what I want to do today is I want to export it to HTML, and I want to do it to basically this HTML file. So you can press H and H again, H and H if you're in UK. The way people pronounce H in UK is a bit different. So if you press H and if you do it one more time, H, you will basically get this file. This file will be, of course, one HTML file. And by the way, this particular file is stored. This HTML file is stored and exported to the same location where the org file is, but you can also configure it to basically on top. I believe you can have the path or directory where you want your file to be exported, but I don't really want to do it here because this particular org file is within my directory, which I manage and which I use to publish a blog as well. So what you can do is you can actually move it to maybe a temp location. So I'll probably move this to maybe temp, maybe in my home directory, because I also have a temp in my home directory. And what I'll do, I'll probably open it and I'll show you this particular file in my browser. So let me just go back to I'm just trying to find the file. So I don't have the file here for some strange reason, but let me just take a look at the location of this. Was it really in the home directory or maybe not? Okay, learning node. Oh yeah, I do have this. So it's a small file. Okay, so this is the file, by the way. And if you look at this particular file, and if you also compare it with I'll probably bring this here, and I'll probably get rid of this terminal window. Okay, so if you look at this, they're basically same. On the left hand side, you have the browser, and look at this file. It's so beautiful. It is so wonderfully presented. Like it has and by the way, in my configuration, by default, if you export something, you will get the table of content. But the good thing about org file is that you can actually have some arguments or some headers on top that will let you control whether you want to generate a TOC, table of content, or not. But I quite like it, and if you look at this particular file, it is beautiful. And if you're learning something new, and imagine that you are converting your notes, your rough notes, to this beautiful file, you can actually, for me, this is nothing different from a book. So this is your own book, and you can actually publish it if you want. If you want to publish your own book, basically your book is not. So what exactly is a book? Book is basically a big document where people can absorb the knowledge that you want to share by going through different steps, like how to do this, how to do that. And if you look at this particular file, it is such a beautiful HTML file, and the code is also nicely formatted for you. And by the way, this is nothing but a simple HTML file, but the good thing about org mode is that you can also have different themes, or you can actually use your own CSS if you want. And there are plenty of examples online where you can just throw in CSS. For example, if I show you maybe my blog, Ravi, come on, I think I'm not doing good with the keyboard today. Okay, so if you open Ravi.pro and if you go, and by the way, so this is nothing but a, this particular site is nothing but an org file on my local computer, and I'm using my own CSS, but this is of course not really good looking, but I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it, and there are so many files that I have shared online. I mean, this is of course a simple HTML file, and for me it is nothing but my notes that I want to share publicly. But even if you don't want to share it publicly, you can still generate this HTML, and you have the option to also do a lot of other things, like you can also generate a PDF file. You can also create wonderful, good-looking presentations. So there are modes that you can use, and this file, I mean, just look at this file. It is, I mean, if I want to read my notes, either I can of course read it within my org file, which I prefer. But if I'm sharing it with someone, I can actually share this HTML file very quickly in a few seconds by running a command, and this particular file is basically my own notes. It looks like a document or a documentation or maybe a book, but it is not. I mean, I'm just using the words or the text here in this particular file is my own language, and the idea here is to basically read this quickly so that I can revise whatever I have been learning since last year. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. And I'm just trying to convince you to use org mode because it is wonderful. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, by the way, and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.